Okay, so we're joined tonight by a musician called NEEV. She's from Glasgow, but she's currently residing in London. We're here to chat all about her new single, which is due out on the 10th of April. It's called Black Over Grey, and hopefully NEEV is now with us. So are you there, NEEV?
Yes, I'm here. Hi there.
Brilliant. How are you? Thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I'm good. Just winding down on a Sunday evening before the new week begins. Yeah.
I was going to say, it's amazing. I'm organising a lot of these video chats with bands and artists, and I'll sort of say, well, what are you doing tomorrow night? And they sort of look there and roll their eyes and think, nothing, nothing's going on. So it's a little bit different from normal life, I think. So, as I say, thanks for joining us. I know it's a Sunday night. You're probably winding down for the week, basically, ahead. Have you got much lined up next week, work-wise, or...?
Yeah, I'm kind of putting a couple of things together at the moment. It's a good time to sort of get some stuff done. I'm working on a track with a friend. I'm going to do a couple more bits and bobs on. I'm trying to get some videos edited and put together as well. So yeah, that's kind of the coming week. Really.
Cool. How are you bearing up in the very trying times that we're currently sort of living under, sort of almost semi lockdown, I guess. But are you managing to cope? Have you got shops nearby and things like that? Are you managing to get by? And
yeah, so I'm staying with my brother. He's kind of more central London than I am generally. It's been fine. We're right next to a park, which is a godsend, and we're kind of surrounded by a couple of parks. So that's been good. Shops have been okay. There have been queues. We've tried to avoid them where necessary, but we're really lucky and doing really well. So
not doing too bad.
Yeah.
Excellent. Now, I said at the start, you're from Glasgow, but you're now based in London. Tell me a little bit more about that, the transition moving down from Glasgow. When did you make the move? Was it recently, or was it when you were a child, or just tell me a little bit more?
Yeah, so I was in Glasgow until I was 18, basically just like my whole life up till then. And then I moved to Edinburgh for uni.
Okay.
And so I was in Edinburgh for university. And then after that, I moved down to London. So that was about 2.5 years ago. And yeah, I did a master's in London. That's how I sort of came down here. And then actually it wasn't for about a year whilst I was living in London before I really kind of sunk into the music scene here and started kind of really utilising it. And I kick myself every day for that now because it's such a fantastic scene.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoy
Brilliant.
the community and the place. So 2.5 years now, really.
Where is sort of your London, if you know what I mean? It's such a vast place. I mean, do you sort of congregate? Do you go out and socialise in a certain area of London, or...?
Actually, it's what I love about gigging in London is that it kind of takes you everywhere, and I really like that because it's so easy to kind of, I think, get comfortable in a certain area when there's like so much to take advantage of in London. East-ish is kind of a big area for me. Hackney's generally where kind of a lot of stuff's going on. Also Soho, just there's loads and loads of great venues in Soho.
Lots of nice bars and clubs in Soho as well. It's good.
Yeah. But my general social life is like live music, either playing it or going to it. So wherever that's happening is where.
Unfortunately, it's not happening anywhere at the moment. You see, you probably
no social.
Like me as well. If I'm not in, basically, it's very rare of an evening. If I'm in, I'm either at my office desk or typing notes or promo features or reviews from shows and editing photos, or I'm out doing exactly that drives that. Oh, she's on the beer already. Look, blimey, that's not a good move. But,
it's a Sunday evening, right? That's winding down.
Do you find that you started drinking a bit more since you've been in this situation?
I've been drinking a bit more, but that's kind of like 0 to 10 for me. Like at the beginning of this year, I like really didn't drink a lot. So I'm like now drinking on the weekends, which I didn't do at the beginning of this year. So I'm kind of like becoming a normal person.
Not a full-blown alcoholic just yet, but just
not yet. But there's time. There's time.
There's time. Yeah, there's still about 8 months of the year left. So good luck.
Well, there you go.
I think it's working from home as well. I mean, I'm normally logged in and working from about 8 o'clock in the morning till about 4 in the afternoon. And 4 o'clock in the afternoon, my wife will come with a glass of wine. I think it's too early for wine. No, it's never too early for wine, is it? But
so really funny.
You're a musician. Tell me a bit about yourself and your musical background and influences and upbringing, things like that.
Yeah. I've always kind of played music, always played guitar, always sang. Piano's my first instrument, but guitar by sort of by force, because you can carry that around on the central line, which you need to do quite a lot.
Taking a piano with you on the central line is probably not the best.
You know what? I'd get pushed off. So I always kind of played played a lot of music sort of recreationally. Did it in high school, did the old talent competition, all that stuff.
Right.
And then kind of it was spattered throughout uni as well for me. I did like do bits of performances here and there, and I did a bit of writing here and there. But as I said, it was kind of when I decided to throw myself full force into it in London at the beginning of last year. So I just kind of written quite a lot over a spell of time, and sort of was like, I finally have this bunch of songs. I finally am really, really enjoying the writing process, and kind of like just decided to throw myself headfirst into everything. So as of sort of February last year, I was kind of doing 2-3 gigs a week for the whole year, making connections wherever I could, and not necessarily like lucrative connections, just like made a ton of incredible music friends, was going to open mics constantly, and just through that created with these people like a fantastic collective, and it just kind of grew from there really, and because I had a couple of songs I was happy with, those were the ones that sort of kind of came out in singles last year, and they were kind of very solo, although I was doing a lot of gigs with a lot of people. That was like me just starting to collaborate a little bit,
sure,
and kind of dipping my toe in co-writing or co-arranging or things like that. But I think to the end of last year and the beginning of this one has been fantastic for really, really getting into the co-writing side of things, a little bit more into music production, a little bit more into arrangements, and I've been working on like lots of different projects, lots of different people now, and that's been fantastic because it's really sort of affected how I've developed my own writing. So that's kind of where I am right now, releasing quite a lot of stuff at the moment, which was like by no means just me. My recent release, Tunnel Vision, has everyone and their mums on it. My aunties are playing strings on it.
Brilliant.
My friends engineered it with me. I have loads of people doing backings that are all just like musical friends of mine. So that's kind of what this year has been. And the sort of upside of, having to stay in and so that like just this very odd period of time is that I can really kind of work on these projects with people, be it virtually, but it's still a pretty cool opportunity. And yes, that's why I'm like releasing at the moment.
Good, thank you. A good overview of that. That was very interesting to listen to as well, so thank you.
Yes,
so
no
your new single, Black Over Grey, then, it's going to be released on the 10th of April. Tell me about the inspiration for the song. Where did it come from?
So it's kind of the whole sort of EP itself, the sort of 4 tracks that are coming out this
Sorry, is
year.
that the Forgiving Light? Is that the EP name?
Yes, that is the name, Forgiving Light. So that those were kind of all written about a year ago now. So sort of April, May of last year, and they kind of all sort of explore the in-betweens and the foggy areas of like relationships, be them platonic or romantic or anything really. And Black Over Grey is kind of the sort of the chorus is like, I chose black over grey instead of white and beige, which is the idea of kind of deciding to have a very straightforward relationship, or to decide to have sort of rules or boundaries where things were more blurred. And the EP title Forgiving Light is kind of one big metaphor about sort of a very dimly lit room where sort of everything's like very attractively lit and everyone's pretty and romantic, but actually you can't really see much, and clarity is not really there. And so Black Over Grey, it's very much kind of about memory and relationship and sort of boundaries and definitions and sort of exploring those things really.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say, you're talking about sort of dimly lit areas, and there's a reason why nightclubs are quite dark, I guess.
Yes.
Lights come on at the end, you think, oh my God, what have I done?
Well, I
Run away
actually
as fast
worked
as you
in
can.
nightclubs for about 5 years, and
Right.
that was kind of my job. So
Okay.
maybe that's where it all comes from. Maybe that's where the
Maybe,
symbolism comes
yeah.
from.
No, no. Now, as you say, this is well, it's actually the second track to be lifted from your Forgiving Light EP.
Yeah.
The first track to sort of focus on the piano in the
Mm.
forefront and electric guitar on there. Is this the first time you sort of done piano and electric guitar on a song, or is it the first time you put something out on there, basically?
It's yeah, it is. It's the first for electric guitar and piano, which is kind of a big thing for me, because last year and sort of coming into this year, I really felt like my sound was very acoustic, like very acoustic guitar based, very harmonies and stayed like very much within that realm. But actually I've really enjoyed branching out a little bit more in terms of instrumentation and where that could take me. And electric guitar has been a really big one for me this year. It isn't necessarily something I've been super attracted to. I kind of went to it through like sort of ease and very clean thing to be able to record and things, but actually it's taken me into like a whole new sort of writing area, and that, like what Black Over Grey kind of did with guitar and piano, it's really inspired sort of coming writing as well.
That's good.
And yeah, so it's kind of really pushed me into a different area, but I really enjoyed arranging that. Yeah, it was really good, and it was like very solo actually. It was kind of just me in a room for a couple of hours playing around, and the result's all right.
And is this a sort of format you're looking to take forward and explore more about?
Absolutely. And I think with Black Over Grey again as well, I kind of just sort of sat down with that one and went through it very in a very like step-by-step process in terms of like harmonies and the way in which the song was going to be sort of put together. And that's really been taken forward, like the sort of strength in harmonies and sort of that choir effect, along with like what you can get out of a very moody electric guitar. It's really pushed me on with a couple of other songs that I'm working on now. So a bit of a watershed, that one.
Yeah, it sounds like it's opened up a few more doors for you as well. And I guess we're working with your sort of cohorts or your group that you sort of met up with now and there, and that's sort of allowed more people to throw in some more ideas as well. So cool, that sounds exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks.
Now, I guess any sort of future live dates, or certainly for the near future, have either been cancelled or postponed altogether. Are you planning any of these sort of live streaming events that are popping up all over Facebook at the moment?
Yeah, so I did my first live stream with a blog called Bittersweet Symphonies last week. What is time? What day is it?
I don't know what day it is anymore. I know I'm not working.
Honestly,
I'm not
I know it's
working,
I know it's dark outside. That's basically it. But yeah, so I did that live stream with them, and I really enjoyed that.
Cool.
Yeah, it was good because it feels like kind of more personally, because you're sort of sat in your bedroom, and I felt a bit more like liberal with like how new a song I would play, which I did. And so one I've got coming up is actually a night I work with really frequently called Folking Around. They have a showcase based in Kingston once a month, and I kind of help them out with social media and things like that. And and because we've had to like take it all online, we just put together a lineup, and they asked me to be on it. So that will be. I'm really sorry. I am checking my phone.
Oh, that's all right. Don't worry. That's all right. I got notes all over the place. Don't worry. Frantically trying to look at notes when you're talking, because I know the video will be focusing on you, and I can scrabble around for my notes. You see, so
very fair. I'll be a distraction. But yes, the 2nd of April. That is. I'll definitely be doing that. Yeah, definitely going to do a couple more. I actually curated nights in London, and they no longer happen. Not because of everything that's going on, but because the pub that we hosted in shut. But this is kind of an okay excuse for us to kind of ramp that up again. So I might not feature in that one, but I'll definitely be running a couple from sort of my channel or a related one. Yeah,
that's exciting. I see you were also due to play at the Camden Chapel on May 7th.
Yes.
Hopefully that's going to get postponed or rescheduled? Or
It actually has. It's just not fed through on the Spotify, but I'll need to
okay.
It has been postponed, yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, so we'll look forward to more on that. I also saw that is a night hosted by a company called Talent Bank. Are you a Talent Bank artist?
So that would be my first date with Talent Bank. I really like them and I really love what they do. I'm a really big fan, and there's a couple of artists on there that I'm a huge fan of that they kind of suggested Talent Bank to me. Eddie Smith and the 507, fantastic band.
Yep,
really,
heard of them.
guys.
Yep.
Yeah, I love their music and they're fab guys. So they kind of passed me on to Talent Bank and suggested them to me. And I really, really look forward to working with them. They've asked me to, I think they're doing live stream stuff instead of the Camden Chapel dates. So that will probably be something going in the calendar. I just haven't formally organised it yet.
Cool.
But very cool company. I really, really
like that. They are. I've done a lot of work with a guy called Ray Jones, who basically
I've heard that Ray's fantastic.
I've worked with him. I mean, I've sort of helped him out. He's helped me out, thrown me a few new names and things like that. We've done similar sort of video chats with a lot of them in the past, and it's he's a great guy. He's I think they call him Mr. London because he's just
really
he knows the city like the back of his hand. It's bizarre, his knowledge is unfathomable. I don't think there's a black cab driver that would know any more than Ray, but he's a real nice guy as well. His team are really genuine, nice people.
I've only heard and experienced that.
No, that's it. No, good luck with that. I think that should be good, and stick with Talent Bank. There are some really good artists on that coming through the ranks, and hopefully they'll hit the highlights very, very soon. But
definitely.
So tell me about some of your musical influences then. Who do you like? Who are you sort of basing your music on? Who do you sound like? And things like that.
I've actually I've really recently become aware that I'm very bad at kind of inspiration comparisons. Like people that I've worked with that I've been asked them for help on something, they've said, "Oh, can you send me like an inspiration track for this?" And I'll send them it and they'll be like, "That sounds absolutely nothing like what we're working on." And I'm like, okay, but in my head somewhere there's this inspiration. But that said, I will tell you my inspirations.
Go on.
And hope that it's it will be a bit weird, but I like a lot of music. The first sort of really big prominent influence for me is a folk singer-songwriter. Well, I mean, just folk. I hate to sort of pigeonhole her because I think she does amazing things in loads of genres. Is Rachel Sermani. Is a Scottish musician who I've been following for years. I actually went to a sort of music conference called Wide Days that's based in Edinburgh that still goes on annually, and it is really fantastic. But my mum was on the panel. She worked in film and was talking about soundtracks, and I kind of went up with her to this festival and kind of got to go behind the scenes with her. I was 15 at the time, so it was a really big deal for me. And she took me to this sort of the party where all the staff kind of were, and it was this flat party in Edinburgh, and they invited Rachel Sermani to play sort of a just stripped down set, and I didn't know anything about her yet, but that completely hooked me. She played these fantastic songs called In the Hollow and Sleep. I still remember it so vividly. And just fantastic. I think she's really brave in terms of the fact that ever since she's kind of been putting out music, and for the whole time she's been releasing stuff, she's never been bound by genre or song structure or what kind of makes a song is sort of industry friendly. And she's been kind of successful regardless. And I really, really envy that. She's absolutely fantastic. I kind of also take influence from sort of jazzier musicians like Amy Winehouse and Ella Fitzgerald. In terms of sort of the sound of their voice, they are the voices that I feel like I have sort of drawn influence from in that sort of sound.
I think they're very, very interesting voices. Does that make sense? Amy Winehouse, when she talks, just sounds like a Cockney, but when she sings, she sounds like
it's transformed.
Liquid. I don't know, whatever you want.
Caramel.
That's right. Yeah. Exactly. Same as Ella Fitzgerald. Very deep, very boomy voice, but when she talks, it's totally different. It's bizarre, but I get what you're saying. Excellent. Did you get to meet up with Rachel at that show then? No.
So no, it's terrible, but I'm I get quite starstruck, even if I go to a gig and I've not like seen an artist before, if they are like spellbinding, I find it really hard to go up to them sometimes. But no, at that sort of flat party thing, my mum was like, "Do you want to go meet her?" I was like, "No, absolutely not.
Let's go now." Yeah.
But I've seen her play live countless times, a lot in Glasgow and Edinburgh, and I saw her really recently at a church in Bethnal Green, and that was
lovely.
Yeah, and then a sort of final very big influence for me is Nathaniel Rateliff. His very like I think his like folky sort of acoustic guitar sound on his solo albums was a huge influence for me to begin with. In terms of just like doing a lot with vocals and guitar, and kind of really bringing really strong dynamics to a song. Kind of really pushed me.
Brilliant. I know we covered, we got an invite while I was living up in London. It must have been 2018. They did it was something to do with Brit Award Week, and it was a collaboration with War Child, the charity in Syria and, war-torn countries. And lots of large, well-known established artists were playing in very, very small, quite sort of pokey establishments. And I remember Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats was advertised at, I think it was the O'Meara. Do you know where that is?
Yes, I love it.
So you go in the O'Meara, it's like an old dance hall.
Yeah, it's like
it's derelict. It's just covered. There's like rust all over the walls, and it's horrible.
Yeah.
I think one of the Mumford and Sons.
He does. Marcus Mumford owns it.
Runs it or owns it, I don't know, but he was there that night. We never got to meet him. He was just literally whizzing by around the crowd.
But you saw them play at the O'Meara.
That was amazing. Yeah, we stood right up on the little balcony thing on the right hand side.
I'm always, as soon as every time I go to a gig in the O'Meara, I'm like, that's my spot.
That's it. It is. You're above everyone's heads. It's great.
Yeah. I love the O'Meara.
It was a cracking show. It really was. And I can't think who supported. There was a guy who was very, very self-deprecating. He was an American guy, but it was more sort of parody sort of music. It was fun.
Right. Okay.
But it was interesting. But no, Nathaniel, I think, has played a few times since that date, and obviously now I'm based down in the West Country now, sort of between Exeter and Plymouth. That's my stomping
right.
So I cover a lot of shows around Exeter, Plymouth, around the Devon, border.
Were you going to catch him on his tour just coming up? Because I was going to see him in the Glasgow Royal Concert Hall, because I was going to go home and catch the show there, but obviously postponed.
Well, that's the problem, isn't it? I mean, normally I think most bands and booking agents assume that past Bristol there's sort of just farmers, tractors and circus and things like that. Nobody wants to know about them when they come past Bristol.
Nothing there.
Occasionally, I mean, if they're on their way up, if it's like a promotional tour and they're a young band and they just want to get around and reach as many people as possible, they'll play a place called the Cavern in Exeter. It's about
I know the Cavern
place. You know it. It's not the biggest, it's not the most glamorous, but it's the sort of place that every band has played at. I mean, I've seen Muse on the stage there in front of about.
I've definitely heard this actually.
I've seen Coldplay support Muse at one of their shows in around 2000 or 2001. I've still got the ticket at home. It's amazing. But just one of these sort of real, they say toilet circuit venues, but it's like the Hope and Anchor in London. I mean, you go in there, it's just proper East End boozer, but you think without this place,
but everyone's trod through it. It's so interesting.
Oh, the history, the history of the venues and things like that. So no, indeed, it's interesting. Now, there's tons of bands out there, and even musicians. Please tell me about some that you think we'd enjoy. Maybe they're your friends that you collaborate with and things like that, local or bigger bands that we may not have heard of, so your chance.
Oh God, you've honestly, 9,000 billion people, that's what I have enjoyed out of everything in London. I see this now that most of my Spotify playlists are just my mates, honestly, loads of fantastically talented people putting out music. To name a couple, I think the first one name is the Bugles. Fantastic indie rock band, sort of very anti-establishment music, but my God, these boys put on the best show I have ever, honestly. I supported them at a pub in West London, which name escapes me. Good venue though. I'm really annoyed I can't remember the name of it. But,
don't worry, there's many.
There's so many, and they're all quite nice. So
exactly.
It's West London. So I was supported them and had never heard them before. I don't sort of define myself or know myself as like an indie rock loving person. And they went on stage and everyone in the audience lost their mind. They are so entertaining. The front guy, Jack, has a fantastic skill of presence and confidence, and without being cocky, just like he's really fun. And actually I host a sessions channel in my garden with my friend, and we had them on, so we'll be putting a video up of the Bugles acoustic sort of set soon, so people can get a better idea. But they've got an EP out. Another couple of friends that I'd name, I have a friend called Louis Phillips, who I've been putting on gigs with for over a year now, who I've worked with on a ton of projects. He's currently putting out an album in which I'm doing a lot of the backing vocals, but also backing vocals from a lot of really fantastic artists. He's really fantastic at sort of pulling in, because his network in London is so big. A big icebreaker for me is, so you know Louis as well, because everyone in London does.
Yeah.
And he sort of has this fantastic skill of pulling in artists in the right way, because he's also like puts on gigs, so he kind of knows where music fits in like a certain order. So a lot of his album has fantastic features on it from fantastic musicians, and that's coming out slowly throughout this year. And then a final one I'll mention is Alex Bailey. I played a gig with him in January and I saw his set there, and he's put out an album called Ley Lines, and the arrangement of the entire album has such care and consideration to it, and it's just beautiful. It's like beautifully understated and so well written. So those are my big three recommendations.
So the Bugles, Louis Phillips, and Alex Bailey, you say, yeah?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Excellent. I'll remember them. I'll take them off and we'll go and have a listen to them. We might be knocking on their door soon for a video interview, so give them a heads up.
I'd love to see it. I'll be watching.
So Black Over Grey, you said it's the second track to be released from your Forgiving Light EP. Did you say it's got 4 tracks on it?
4 tracks. The 4 tracks are Tunnel Vision, Black Over Grey. The 3rd track is the name of the album, Forgiving Light.
Okay.
And the 4th track is a song called Interim, which will be out sort of towards summer.
Right. So when is Forgiving Light going to be released then? Are you sort of dropping that sometime in May, or what's the plan?
Yeah, so about 6 weeks after Black Over Grey, it's looking like it'll drop around then. But there will be loads of information coming out of my social media.
I was going to say, I mean, that's my next sort of question, really. I was going to ask what the rest of 2020 has in store for you, but I guess nobody knows at the moment. It's just one of those things, isn't it? Where can we keep, what's the best sort of channels to keep up with your whereabouts, NEEV, and where can we keep an eye on you?
Instagram is sort of the number one, just a very easy forum to keep everyone updated, really. So that's NEEV Music, NEEV Music, really easy to find me on there. Okay. And the second one, I'd just say Facebook, same NEEV Music. I kind of post on those two most frequently with information of any stuff coming out.
Brilliant, good stuff. Well, we're going to be playing your track on the podcast, probably going to be on the 5th of April. I'm probably not going to run this interview at the same time, because as I've already got a 40-minute interview running with another band on there, but we'll keep it. I'll put it up on the website and that will go out and people can tune in and watch the video and listen to the audio if they want. So thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for giving up your time on a Sunday night. I'm sure you had a calendar full of social events to go and do.
I know, I had to cancel on all of the many social gatherings I was attending.
Oh, I bet. But yeah, good luck with the future. We really look forward to getting the track out. As I say, I'll be pushing the playlist quite heavily on Facebook and Twitter.
Fantastic.
Up to date on there. So if you see yourself tagged, just give it a share.
I'll be sharing. Don't worry.
Sounds cool. That's brilliant. Thanks so much for your time, and we'll catch up again soon, no doubt.
No problem.
All right.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, see you later.
Evening.